All right, now we're getting some breaking news. The government facing protests has now decided to defer the proposed move to bar withdrawal of employees' contribution to the Provident Fund corpus until the employee attains the age of 58 years. The move has been deferred by 3 months. Labour Minister Bandaru Dattatreya announced the move amidst the protests by labour unions in several parts of the country. In Bengaluru, the protest turned violent after government workers stormed a police station and set it on fire. 15 state transport buses were also set on fire. Rohini Swami is now joining us with more details. Rohini, with this announcement coming of this decision being deferred for another 3 months, are we likely to see the situation now calm down in Bengaluru? What is the police saying presently?
Yes, definitely. This will bring a certain amount of relief to the government workers. Now, the point is that Bengaluru also, we've seen these kind of violent clashes also because there are nearly 10 lakh government workers in that area around the outskirts of Bangalore, where we have seen the apparel industry also working. Now, this move by the central government will be welcome, but they will be wanting to hold talks with the government to know exactly how they would want to take it forward. The point that they're saying is that the employee provident fund that they will receive only at their retirement age is something they feel is discriminatory, and since the government industry is largely also an unorganized sector, because they do not even have unions to fight for themselves, they have to now completely rely on such kind of protests to make their voices heard. It's a different story that they did resort to violent protests, which had led to the kind of clashes that we saw in the Bangalore area, especially Tumkur and Tina area today in Bangalore. The police have tried to calm down the protesters, and they are also in talks with some of the leaders of the various government, leaders in the local areas where people work, so that they can try and convey the message that the central government has put. But this issue is not a state government issue also. We see protests across the country. But why we seeing these protests largely out of Bangalore is also because the largest amount of the workforce, especially in the garment industry, comes from the outskirts and near Bangalore.
But, Rohini, was the government or the authorities seeing this coming? Could they have stepped up security and perhaps prevented this sort of outrage that we saw this morning, where a police station was burned down, 15 state transport buses were torched as well?
See, the point is that there were protests that took place yesterday. They had blocked the roads, and the police did manage to break some calm soon after that. But they did not expect it to take a violent turn. But as you see, when you're looking at thousands and thousands of protesters, and they are talking about their lives at stake, because at the end of the day, instead of taking loans from money lenders, they thought that the PF employment provident fund will be of some relief for them and their lives.
Absolutely, yes.
And that is why this whole thing burst out, and this kind of violent protest took place. But the police, obviously, they did not see it coming, but security has been put in place and tightened in that place. Section 144 has been imposed around that area. But the fact that they have burned down a police station, burned down vehicles itself, is something that is not acceptable in terms of law and order breakdown. And that is why the police have decided to clamp and come down heavily on the protesters. But at the same time, they also need to hold talks with them, peaceful talks, to try and make them understand that this could be resolved at a certain level. But as we speak also, the opposition in Karnataka and the party in national, that is the BJP, also has said, especially Mr. Yediyurappa, who is now the BJP state president, that he will hold talks with the centre to try and resolve the issue also and help the workers from here.
Absolutely, Rohini, and the concerns of the employees are understandable, considering that this is their own money, which the centre had put an age bar on as far as withdrawals are concerned. Rohini, this matter has been deferred only for 3 months. You are rightly pointing out that these employees' unions, as well as the employees of the government workers really, who are unorganized in the way they work out of this place, they want to seek an appointment perhaps with the government to see what can be the step ahead. Now, in that sense, what is the state government, how is it going to tackle the situation?
The state government is also now in terms of they have intervened. They are in talks with the government workers, and especially they're trying to now find out exactly how they could possibly take this forward and hold further talks to the central government. With the Labour Minister, Union Labour Minister, taking a call saying that in the next 3 months that they have deferred it for 3 months, they're giving themselves some time for debate. Now, they are hoping that there will be a healthy, peaceful debate on this. And we have seen how earlier also, with the Provident Fund, there were certain rollbacks after the union budget was announced. They're possibly hoping, especially the employees, that the central government may think of a rollback of this particular scheme, this particular rule that they had put in place. But now the bigger picture. The bigger picture is the fact that some of them, most of the government workers, they work as contract laborers, not for more than a year. And so, otherwise, because if they work for more than a year, they would have to be contributing to certain amounts of rules and regulations in terms of private provident fund and other things. And many of them have spent decades of their life only in that sector, and to feel denied that they would obviously get only the PF at the end of their when they retire is something they feel that their money has been taken away and snatched away from them, because they're talking about running families, possibly getting their daughters married and having and investing and getting a better life. And that is why we've seen this kind of protest, because it hits them right where it hurts.
Yes, and as Pratibha is pointing out, Rohini is pointing out that the government and the administration did not expect it to take a violent turn, but it did this morning. So let's quickly listen in now to Police Commissioner Megarik on the present situation in Bengaluru.
Bengaluru, I think the number, yesterday there were more than 30,000 people. And I think even for the police, they were handled very sensitively. A lot of women were there. And basically they're fighting against some amendments in the Provident Fund scheme, where I think there's a lot of confusion, and they are saying that it's affecting them. So I think Government of India should also immediately send their officers and give out a very clear statement exactly what is the situation. And we need to speak to our police also is taking action. They're trying to speak to the union leaders and to try and tell them, but a lot of wrong information also is flowing. But at the same time, I think the amendment that has been done has also affected these government workers. So I think Government of India should look at that also in a manner which will sort of sort this issue out. And in the meanwhile, we are the numbers are so huge that the government is doing its best to see that we try and control damage as much as possible.
Pratibha Raman is now joining us with the latest situation on the ground. Pratibha, we just heard the police saying that the situation is under control. But what are you picking up as you are very much placed where the violent protests broke out this morning?
Well, in fact, what started off as a peaceful protest with about 10 to 15,000 of these government workers starting in different pockets of the city, protesting with regards to the PF and the new policy that has been introduced with regards to that. And right after 12 in the afternoon, the protest turned violent, with all of them pelting stones at different vehicles, as well as setting them on fire, torching many of the buses as well in different pockets of the city. What you see here is the situation at Hedbagudi police station at the electronic city of Bengaluru. In fact, this particular part of the city is one of the most crowded areas. In fact, this is one of the IT hubs of the city as well. And here at the Hedbagudi police station, several of the vehicles, at least 10 to 15 of them, parked inside the premises, were all damaged as well as set ablaze, and many of the police personnel also suffered injuries with regards to the stone pelting that took place, and they had to resort to lathi charge as well as firing of tear gas shells to ensure that the situation could be brought under control. Well, right now the situation is more or less under control. There are no protests happening in different pockets of the city, but at the same time there is a sense of fear, there is a sense of tension to see whether these protests will continue to happen, because what we saw yesterday was a protest that took place and finally it ended in the evening, but nobody really realized that the protest could continue today as well. So all eyes are on that aspect, whether the government workers would actually assemble again. But several of them have been taken into custody, whether there will be an intervention of the state government as well as the central government to ensure that there could be a final solution that would be sought.
Also, Pratibha, at the moment, what's the situation like as far as vehicular movement on some of the arterial roads is concerned? We understand that it was badly impacted.
In fact, even yesterday it was badly impacted. For about 3 hours together, the traffic came to a standstill in this very area. In fact, let me actually go across and ask my camera person to show you the vehicular movement right outside. In fact, you have several of the police vans as well stationed outside on this road to ensure that things are peaceful. The vehicular movement is also quite peaceful. The traffic is more or less restored in not just this pocket but several other pockets of the city as well. In fact, heavy police bandobast in different pockets of the city to ensure that the law and order will be maintained, but then there is definitely a sense of tension prevailing in different parts of the city.
Right, tension prevails in that area. However, with the central government now saying that this decision has been deferred to at least 3 months, let's see whether some middle path can be achieved with the workers coming down and speaking with the government and the government arranging some sort of talks with the centre on this matter. Pratibha Raman and Rohini Swami, both of you, many thanks for joining us with those details.
The Modi government is planning to roll out special facilities for minority Hindus from Pakistan. Now, people belonging to the minority community of Pakistan staying in India on a long-term visa will soon be allowed to buy property